Hello, it's Randi Rhodes. Here's a clip from our show, and go to randirhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.
Mary had a little man.
The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
I did know that my marriage was bad. I knew that it wasn't healthy, that the fights and the verbal and emotional abuse that I was enduring was not quote unquote normal. But I don't think that I had yet put myself in the category of someone whose husband laid hands on her until that moment. It was a very quick courtship and engagement. Within a matter of a couple of weeks after being married, I was aware of his temper. By December of 2010, so just after a year of being married, the arguments, the insults, the, in my opinion, unwarranted and sometimes inexplicable anger continued. During one of these fights where we're both yelling at each other, I disengaged and removed myself from the fight to go take a shower. And Rob wasn't finished fighting, I suppose. At that point, he was still angry, and so he came and grabbed me by the shoulders here and pulled me out of the shower in a rage. Immediately on seeing the terror in my face, retracted and apologized and changed composure immediately. But that was the first time that he had laid hands on me. That is the first time that anger had gone beyond the words and the insults and the regular rage that I had been accustomed to. And at that point, I refused to attend a family vacation with him, and I asked him to leave the house, and sort of began seeking potentially alternatives to a separation. So that by the end of about 3 years of marriage, I was sort of a shell of a person, and a muted version of the woman that I had been when I met Rob. Ultimately, we divorced in November of 2013 after about a year of separation. And I have been able to maintain a cordial, mutually respectful relationship with Rob ever since. We speak regularly, not often, but regularly. And it wasn't until 2017, after Rob had been tapped to serve in the Trump administration in the White House as staff secretary, that Rob's first ex-wife, Colby, reached out to me, asking if I would like to meet, since we both had to rehash our marriage and rehash our experience with the FBI. She asked if I would like to meet. And so in March of 2017, when we met, she did tell me in some detail the physical abuse that she had suffered, in addition to the emotional and psychological and verbal abuse, which was similar to what I had suffered in my marriage.
He sounds like a great guy. He sounds like a real gem, doesn't he? Sounds like a winner. Somebody you would want your daughter to marry, doesn't he? But he's so good in the office. Yeah, but he beats the hell out of his wife when he goes home. Oh, who cares? So what? I mean, it's nothing. It's just...
I think confidence is silent.
Oh, that's the wrong one. I wanted this. Wait.
CNN has learned that these accusations of domestic abuse were known to key White House officials, including John Kelly, as early as last fall. Yet they let Porter
Oh, what happened there? Look at that.
stick around. What's your reaction to that?
Well, they are allegations. They appear to be the truth. If they're not, I'll come back and apologize. If you want to serve the public, particularly as a member of a president's staff, I don't care who you are, even if you're a Rhodes Scholar, you can't beat the hell out of your spouse.
Oh, you can't?
It's wrong.
Oh.
And if it happened, and there are serious allegations, some honestly believe that it did happen, then Mr. Porter did the right thing.
That's a Republican senator. That's Republican Senator John Kennedy from Louisiana saying you can't beat the hell out of your wife, especially if you want to serve in the White House. Apparently you can beat your wife and serve Orrin Hatch. You know, that could go on. And this is a senator who knows Orrin Hatch. And, you know, it's just so interesting no one asks about that. Because I would really love to hear what Orrin has to say about when did he know, how did he know it, and why the photograph changed everybody's opinion. Why did it take a photograph of a black eye when it was well known that the FBI had already interviewed both ex-wife number one and ex-wife number two, and they both told the story. This man is abusive. This man has an anger problem. He'll put his fist through glass doors if you get a restraining order on him. You will have to call 911 against him. He will choke you out. He will, punch you in the face. He doesn't like mouthy women. He looks at other women. He will compare you to other women. He will put you through emotional hell. I mean, this is unbelievable. And now there's a third woman. There were the ex-wife number one and two, Holderness and Willoughby are the two women's names. They were contacted by a woman who claimed to be his girlfriend in 2016, just previous to Hope Hicks. In Facebook and text messages reviewed by CNN. The woman does describe repeated abuse from Porter. Nobody could know, right? Yeah. And she sought help from the two ex-wives on how to leave him safely. Quote, I work in politics, and despite Rob's repeated abuse, some of which I think many know about, he continues to rise, and I'm afraid to go against him. I'm sorry to bother you. She's writing to the first ex-wife. I'm sorry to bother you. I wanted to reach out and hear your story if you're willing to share, as well as how you broke out of it with him. And mostly, how did you recover? Rob was abusive, degrading, a liar, a cheater during the course of my relationship with him. I found out that he was to others too. I am just searching for someone who might be able to relate to the hell I have gone through. The woman, the third woman, works for the federal government. Another one works in government too, because that's where they met. They were government, they were political science, government studies majors. One went to Wellesley. I mean, they're all super educated. The idea that, spousal abuse knows some class and, it doesn't, filter into the rich and the most powerful, I think should be completely and utterly debunked by the Me Too Time's Up thing. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And in fact, the more power a man has, the more likely he is to threaten you if he's abusive. So, they said that they were, the first and second wife, they were contacted by the FBI last year. And they were interviewed for his security clearance. Now, from everything that I know about security clearances, let me ask Rick in LA, because he knows too. I'm saying 6 months max for a security clearance. Rick?
Yeah, you're right. You're exactly right, Randy.
So he submitted to a security clearance a year ago. He's still in the White House receiving top secret presidential daily briefs, intelligence reports, you name it, the whole spectrum. And he has no security clearance. And that was a year ago that these women went to the FBI. And today the White House said, oh, it's still, the investigation into this guy is still ongoing. How is that possible?
I think that they're full of crap, to tell you the truth. They just, I'll just give you a little bit of my experience. I worked for the federal government for about 23 years. Don't ask me why, but started out as an IRS attorney, and I had my initial, security clearance for that. And that took probably a few months, and then I was promoted to Department of Justice, Tax Division, and had another security clearance there, and that one probably took about 6 months. And I mean, they basically leave no stone unturned.
No, they talk to your neighbors, don't they?
Yeah. In fact, they talk to your neighbors with like loaded questions, like, "Hey, did you see Rick come home in the middle of the night, stumbling down drunk?" Stuff like that.
Yeah, no, they ask things like, "When did Randi stop beating her husband?"
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, they're very, these are very thorough investigations, and I can only imagine. I mean, I was just being hired as an assistant U.S. attorney. I mean, if you're going to be working at the White House, you would think that you would get like, a double secret, a security investigation, and they would just really, use extreme vetting, I guess, to use one of Trump's words, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously,
listen, I got to tell you this. This is unbelievable. Today in The Hill. Okay, there's an article where the ranking Democrats from 3 different House committees, from Judiciary, from Homeland Security, and from the Oversight and Government Reform Committee, have all joined together in a letter. And this is what the letter says. Quote, "We are writing to obtain information related to the White House interim security clearance process. According to press reports, a year after becoming White House advisor, Jared Kushner still has access to our most critical national security information pursuant to an interim security clearance. Mr. Kushner's case raises serious questions about whether his situation is an isolated one among White House senior staff. It also raises concern about the clearance adjudication process for White House staff generally." Check out this sentence. "It is unprecedented for 14 individuals to have access to highly classified president's daily briefing, let alone a single individual is unable to obtain security clearance altogether. How many other Trump administration staffers are using temporary clearances?"
That's a very good question. I would guess we're probably talking dozens. I mean,
but it's Hillary Clinton's email server that was not secure properly.
Bruga, my God, the whole world's going to collapse if Hillary's emails get leaked out, and
or John
the Russians
Podesta.
get them. Oh, wait a second, we've got a Russian in the White House.
Oh my God! Well, he's not a Russian; he's a Russian agent. So
exactly.
Let's be careful with our language.
He's a Russian agent. Exactly.
I mean, this is just very sick and sad. And, of course, John Kelly knew all about this, as did Reince Priebus. Now, remember this. Okay, the President of the United States currently was warned verbally in person by Barack Obama, the outgoing president, during the transition, do not hire General Michael Flynn. Do not hire him. It's a dangerous situation for the country. And what do they do after this briefing and after they knew that Flynn was actually under, investigation by the FBI, by James Comey, who had started a counterintelligence investigation into Michael Flynn very early. The president of the United States outgoing tells the incoming, don't hire this guy. And he hires him anyway. And then when it's discovered that the FBI came to the White House and Flynn decides to talk to them without a lawyer present or whatever and chooses to lie to the FBI, Sally Yates, the then acting attorney general, runs to the White House to tell the White House counsel he just lied to the FBI. We have intercepted phone calls of him. He was talking to Russians 5 times in one day and many more conversations. But this one was especially interesting on December 29th because that's the day Obama, applied sanctions to Russia for election meddling, and he's on the phone talking to Russians, telling them, "Don't worry about the sanctions, don't worry about it. We got this. Just don't react to it. We got this. We got this." And then the president the next day tweets, "Oh, very smart of Russia not to react to the sanctions. Listen, the guy lied, and he's got to go." And what does Trump do? He fires the truth teller. He fires
the messenger. Yes, the messenger gets fired, and the
Flynn
liar
remains.
Stays on the staff.
But it's not just that he's a liar; it's that he is a Russian agent, and he is our national security advisor.
Yeah.
So what the hell is going on at this White House, and why does anybody give a rat's ass about Hillary Clinton's email server?
Exactly. Well, the way I analogize this to Survivor Season 2 White House Edition. And I think Kelly is the next one to go.
I do too. But you know what? This is really crazy. Okay, this is nuts. John Kelly fired Omarosa, right?
Right.
Yeah, he fired her. So where does she go? She parlays her big White House stint into another reality TV job. And check this out. She goes to Big Brother of all
I heard that. Yeah.
Did you see the clip from it? They're teasing it because
did.
it starts tonight at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
She's talking to, what's his name? The Ross. Yeah, she's talking to Ross. And Ross is asking her, like, what goes on in that White House? I mean, how?
Oh, geez.
And she actually says, it's so bad. It's so bad. And Ross says, please tell me everything's going to be okay. And she said, I can't. It's not. It will not be okay. It's not okay. None of this is okay.
Well, keep in mind, you got to take what she says with a grain of salt.
I do.
She's like the penultimate drama queen. You
No,
know?
of course she lies for money. I mean, but they all do at the White House. It's just so sick and sad. Like most people leave the White House, they parlay that into a law firm job, or they parlay that into a lobbyist position, or they start their own group or whatever. She goes to Big Brother, which should tell you the caliber of a person that is hired by the Trump people. I mean, it's
Precisely.
just.
It's total amateur hour, Randy.
But
it's
didn't he say? But he said he knew all the best people. Where are they?
Yeah, I shouldn't call it amateur hour. That gives a bad name to amateurs.
It sure does. I've known. I'm self-taught, so.
There you go. All right, Randy. Great
Thank you.
show.
All right.
Keep on it. Bye.
Bye. All right, just wanted to check in with somebody who actually had gone through a couple security clearances, and they do go talk to your neighbors. Oh yeah, and then you sit down and you give an interview, and if you lie, that's a crime too. So look at this collection of ne'er-do-wells and underachievers, and but they all look good on paper. These are all the look good on paper people that your parents warn you about. Does anybody want their daughter dating or marrying Rob Porter?
Go to RandiRhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.